I invite you to hear today's chalice lighting words by Octavia E. Butler from her novel, Parable of the Sower. All that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is changed.
Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. No one lives alone, we'll be side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. No one is alone, we'll be side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one is alone, we'll be side by side. No one is alone. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one is alone, we'll be side by side. No one is alone. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. No one is alone, we'll be side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one is alone, we'll be side by side. No one is alone. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one is alone, we'll be side by side. No one is alone. Draw the circle wide. Draw the
Good morning, all. My name is Matthew Shinneman. For those of you who don't know me, I am the Director of Lifespan Faith Development here at UCY, and it's a pleasure to be with you this morning. It's kind of a hard act to follow, given that we've been apart for so long, so to be back together, singing together, that was wonderful. This is an ancient story, and I share it with you today, and it is called The Stream. Far off, top a mountain, a stream sprang forth from its unknown and holy source. And it weaved its way down the mountain through all different types of terrain, sometimes leaping and bubbling, sometimes lazily drifting, sometimes even going underground, but it never stopped. Then it came to a vast desert. One last obstacle to face. But nothing had stopped the stream yet, so on it went. And it flung itself at the desert, and it began to disappear, so it stopped. It was a little bit frustrating because nothing had stopped the stream yet, so it flung itself again at the desert. And again, it disappeared. And the stream thought, if the wind can cross the desert, then so can the stream. And thus began a conversation between the stream and the desert. And the stream said to the desert, I need to cross this desert, for it is my purpose to flow, but I can't. And the desert said, well, if you keep trying the same old methods, yes, you're going to fail. If you keep flinging yourself at me, you will disappear. Or at best, you'll become a stagnant marsh. Well, then how can I cross? Well, you have to let the wind carry you. And the stream thought about this for a minute. How can the wind carry me across this desert? And so the desert said, well, you have to let the wind absorb you, carry you over, and drop you on the other side. Now, the stream didn't like this, because that would mean that the stream had to change. And the stream loved being a stream. It was the stream's identity. Now, the desert sensed this fear and said, stream, I need you to trust me. I need you to trust the wind. We will take care of you. We will lift you up. We will drop you on the other side, and you will be able to continue on your way. Now, the stream had to think about this for a moment, took a deep breath, but somewhere deep off in the stream's memory, it could remember a trusted wind. It could remember a far-off horizon. And the stream said, I guess I'll do it. And the desert said, you won't be disappointed. For though you will be different, your essence, the heart of who you are, will still stay with you. And you will get to be again in another way. So the wind reached down and absorbed the vapor of the stream. It lifted it with its strong and loving arms, carried it across the vast desert, and let it drop gently atop a new mountain to begin yet another journey. And it was in this moment that the stream began to understand who it was and what it meant to be a stream. Thus ends our story. I invite the youth who are present with me now to join us as the choir sings us out. We will head off across the way. It is a blessing to be with you this morning. Blessings to you as well.
Today's reading is an excerpt from This Is the Only Moment, Species Love Poetry by Adrienne Marie Brown. I can't stop being in the present, noticing how the past tells me what I should care about, and the future tells me what I should fear, and the past tells me what we forgot, and the future tells me what we must dream. But here, I breathe in, noticing the gift I too often take for granted. Not knowing how many breaths I have left, I want to spend them being love. I thought someone else had all the instructions, and I, stumbling and following, praying to become worthy, must admit I have been grieving and grieving all I don't know and don't trust, and grieving so deeply a world that is still breathing, anticipating failure in spite of my visions. But when I listen, the universe is reminding me I cannot be taken from her. I am never untethered from her roots, never beyond the whole, and nothing is lost. It is lived, and we are not here to win, but to experience love. And those who do not know love are missing life in spite of all other accumulation. And when I listen, the universe is teaching me that control is impossible, and the season will change, and enough is a feeling that cannot be measured, and the small circle is the deepest, and I cannot teach anyone what I have not practiced, and I cannot change anyone but myself. And I will never feel free in a position of demand, and I'm already free, and we all are, and when we realize it, we cannot be contained. And we are never I, even when we are lonely, even when we distinctly suffer, even when we distinctly succeed. We are of lineage, of collective, of era, of farmers' hands and strangers' prayers, of singers with their heads thrown back. We are always dancing with our ghosts and praying for our great-great-grandchildren. We are always the harvest. And the future is being decided, and the future is being practiced. The future is being planted in this breath, and this breath, and this breath. So I breathe in, noticing the gift I too often take for granted, not knowing how many breaths I have left. I want to spend them being love.
Thank you, Molly, for that wonderful reading. Thank you, Sue and Mary and Adrian, for stewardship, and thank you all for being here. I'm gonna move this because it's not being used right now. And the future is being decided, the future is being practiced, the future is being planted. Thinking about the future, as Adrienne Marie Brown calls us to do in today's reading, can feel like risky business, especially in heavy times, times of great uncertainty. We are called to mindfulness, to presence, to rooting oneself in the nearness and the trueness of now. But what about our dreams? At one point in my life, I did choose to tell someone, "Sounds like you're living the dream." And at that point, he paused, lowered his voice, looked at me and said, "I hate to bring down the mood, but nightmares are also dreams." He wasn't wrong. What about our dreams? What about our nightmares? What about the present, poised sometimes precariously between our memories and our hopes and our fears, like the stream at the edge of the desert in Matt's story today? This is what we were. What are we going to be? Dreams, after all, are a way to process the past, create the future. In a hard, heavy world, where do we go to build one that feels lighter, more free, more hopeful for all? How many of us, just wave a hand, or you can wave a hand on Zoom or put it in chat, read or consume media that is science fiction based, speculative fiction? We read about other worlds than these, some of us. What about horror or dystopian fiction? Scary, weird, interesting, not all the same hands, slightly fewer on the other. Some of you already know this, but I've been reading Stephen King since way before I should have been reading Stephen King. For those who do not know, he is the preeminent American horror writer of several generations now. My mother would periodically ask me, as a child, I would be clutching some enormous King tome I had gotten from the library, and she'd say, "Why do you like to read those stories where horrible things happen to people?" And as a child, I didn't have the language to explain how experiencing scary things alongside characters that I cared about made me feel better about facing scary things myself. Reading these stories made me feel less alone. There is no I, like from the reading. It's a universal human condition. Fear, uncertainty, even terror. It might not feel good, but when I feel scared, it doesn't mean anything is wrong with me. It's a reasonable reaction when something is wrong with the world. In the summer of 2020, when several somethings were wrong with the world, I picked up a famous dystopian work I'd heard of but not yet read, Octavia E. Butler's parable series, The Parable of the Sower and The Parable of the Talents. The world of the parables felt awfully familiar. In them, America is besieged by climate change, racism, corrupt government, religious fundamentalism, vast wealth and power disparities, violence, illness, and despair. Originally published in 1993, the narrative of Parable of the Sower begins in the year 2024. The parallels between the books and our current reality aren't 100%, but the way American society feels in Butler's novels is prescient. I wasn't alone. So many people decided to read these books in those first months of the pandemic that in September 2020, 27 years after the book's publication and 15 years after Butler's death, Parable of the Sower made it to the New York Times bestseller list, the first of any of Butler's works to do so. There's a whole other sermon in why this multiple Hugo and Nebula award-winning author did not make the New York Times bestseller list until after her death, but that's another sermon. There's gorgeous, wonderful, fertile, imaginative ground in Butler's works, a place where the future can be planted. The future, they posit, feels terrifyingly close and far too real. They are full of nightmares, yes, but those works also honor the deepest dreams of humanity, dreams of a future both abundant and free for all. One of the 6 sources of Unitarian Universalism is the words and deeds of prophetic people which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. I want to spend my breaths being love. By that definition, Octavia Butler is decidedly prophetic. The way that she chooses to confront powers and structures of evil in the Parables novel is with a created religion called Earthseed. We heard a verse from it this morning to light our chalice. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. Earthseed is born of dreams, the dreams of the novel's protagonist, Lauren Oya Olamina, whose father is a Christian preacher. Lauren feels called to a truth about God and the world that's larger and more present than what she feels when her father shares those biblical parables from which the novels take their names. Earthseed has 3 tenets. 1, God is change. 2, shape God. 3, the destiny of Earthseed is to take root among the stars. Change is the nature of the universe. Not only do the stars and planets and galaxies whirl and spin, but so does every tiny particle within every atom that builds everything that gives an appearance of stillness. There are solid reasons that process theologians hold up Butler's Earthseed as an approachable distillation of their work. In process theology, as in Earthseed, God is not a single being or consciousness, but is immanent within all the energy of the world. Change in the world is constantly a dance of creation and destruction. What more powerful force is there? Earthseed's second tenet asks humanity to claim that force, to shape God. They call preachers, they don't call them ministers or reverends, they call them shapers. Another verse from within the novels, any change may bear seeds of benefit, seek them out. Any change may bear seeds of harm, beware. God is infinitely malleable. God is change. It's up to humanity to examine the changes that surround them, to ask the question, who may be harmed? Who may be helped? If God is not an immovable force outside our knowledge, but is the energy of change, must we not shape it in a way that is beneficial, life-giving, and life-affirming? The final tenet, the destiny of Earthseed, is to take root among the stars. I'm wearing my stars. Is meant quite literally in the books. The hope is to prepare humanity for the responsibility and need to rehome themselves on other planets. But that did not mean that there was not work to do here. There was and is aplenty. After all, nightmares are also dreams. Earth is among the stars. One relevant Earthseed verse invites us into exploration. The destiny is to explore the vastness of heaven. It is to explore the vastness of ourselves. Life becomes more rich, more nuanced, more pliable when we begin to understand that our fears can function in the world like pain functions in the body. It points us to what is wrong. It points us to what needs to be changed, healed, and restored. If we are planting the future with every breath, let us listen to our fears along with our delights. May every dream of this earth bring us to a more fertile ground for the future. So may it be. That's okay.
Sing the sky, my Savior.
At this time in our service each week, we invite you into generosity. This congregation relies on the time, the talent, and the treasure of its members' friends in order to maintain our community, to grow our capacity, and to thrive both now and in the years to come. We are not currently passing a basket. We ask that you place your donations in the baskets by the door as you leave. It is the practice of this congregation to share each week's offering with an organization serving our community that upholds our values. March's Share the Plate partner is Planned Parenthood of York. Planned Parenthood is one of the nation's leading providers of high-quality, affordable health care and the nation's largest provider of sex education. Here is a video that they have provided for us.
These are the doors to Planned Parenthood. They're just doors, really. But what makes these doors different is the fundamental misunderstanding about what goes on behind them. But here's the thing, what we do isn't a secret. It's quality health care for women, men, and young people. STI testing, well woman exams, birth control, pregnancy tests, family planning, sexual assault consultations, and safe, legal abortion. All from a team of people who happen to be acutely dedicated and highly equipped to serve you. There is no mystery here. What's behind these doors is a safe haven for anyone who needs it. There is no judgment, no agenda, just exceptional healthcare and our stories. From the clinicians to physicians, medical directors and office managers, from the medical assistants to front office specialists to you, the people we serve. We are all Planned Parenthood, and Planned Parenthood takes care of all of us.
Please join us in extinguishing our chalice and your home chalices if you have lit them with these words. We extinguish this flame, but not the truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Extinguish the chalice here, so that it might grow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together again.
We have reached the end of our worship. Our service is just beginning. Take the spirit of community and the fire in our hearts with us into the week ahead. Shape God, shape change. Be aware that change comes to us all. So may it be in readiness.
Justice and joy, yes, all say.